tubaniriza nnyo mutabani wa Mmole n'amatovu mirundi Yozefu Tamale birundi wali wano naye simanyi oba yaleese enkuba kube tukyankalanyiza yenze kanka kapito wa TMO oli ku program eyitibwa Political Doors. Mutabani wa Mmole n'amatovu mirundi azebba wa Political Doors. Olero naku z'omwezi lumu twasalawo ne tubaako omukutu ogutweyungako omukutu gwa YouTube guyitibwa Bantu Television. Bantu Television twaguggulawo okuwa omukisa eri omuntu yenna alina kyakola mu ggwanga lino. Olina kyokola ng'okyewulira ffe tukiwa mileage ne tukireetera abantu ne bakiraba. Tonsaba ssente sikusaba yadde olwataano nkikwata ne nkikutera ku internet for free. Naye edda nalabanga abaami abeyita abafuusa munoonyeza abafuusa bannange mukube ku namba y'essimu yange eno mnonyeza abafuusa abo njagala kulaba oba bwe nali nkula ebintu bye bafuusa byali njagala biteeka ku kamera ndaba abazungu beewaana okubeera ne magic njagala tubateereko waffe. So nkubiraako gwalina ekitone kuyimba kuzanya kukola bufuusa kuba mupiira bubaddi nzina mazina kikaaki nze naweesa ekyuma gundi buli kintu kyonna nga gw'owulira gwe gy'oli eyo kisobola okutumbula. Jangu tukikole ku Bantu Television. Leero lumu tutandika okuteekayo vidiyo zino ku mukutu oguyitibwa Bantu Television ennaku z'omwezi nga 5. Mutabani wa Mmole n'amatovu mirundi ng'enkuba bweri wano mukutu kyankalanya kagende butereevu tubere nga tutandika ne Political Doors ey'olunaku olwaleero. Wetuli ne mutabani wa Mmole n'amatovu mirundi Yozefu Tamale mirundi senior abantu bakusiimye okuexposinga enkola y'ekimafia mu ggwanga. Nze ate ennyondo ennyondo yo kati tekyakuva ku lusegere.
Bagambye bagenda kunzita nabawulidde nga boogera bagenze wa pulezidenti basangayo buteeka mu busigi nebagamba omusajja aganye sente pulezidenti aganye omulagira ayime tukuba ku social media international community ekufollowinga international agencies batufollowinga banks zitufollowinga bagenda kukwata ebintu byaffe ate nze nabagamba nti two sitting ministers in Museveni's government are under the microscope of international criminal organizations for killing, extracting and trafficking in human organs. Babalina baminisita babiri bajja bayoola wano oligenda okuwulira ng'abaana bagamba jjajja abajungu baamututte jjajja abajungu baamututte babalikaaba baminisita bali aba babalinnya kagere ku kagere olwo minisita yaasula wansi wa swimming pool
osulota wansi wa swimming pool
anti ekikola bamulinnya kagere ku kagere oligenda okuwulira ku makya ng'abaana bagamba jjajja abajungu baamututte we extract people we kill people extract their organs for export. Yes, and these organizations have already traced the Chinese and the Pakistan because we gave them all of the pictures, the photos. So therefore,
ennyondo y'omuzeeyi enaasobola omuntu akulumbye mayinansi ebirala banaayitawa ku military police yo
abamilitary balabye
aneesinga oŋŋamba nti ennyondo yo eriko ekyenjawulo
anti n'ennyondo gyomulaba eno ennyondo mu ddiini eyange ery'eŋŋanda ya Kiwanuka baladdu ng'enkuba tetonnye
serious
baladdu manyi tesoma eddiini eno ennyondo yaladdu bwengikuweereza baba oyo omuvubuka agamba okunzita nagambye tukole endagaano ya nnaku ezi
3
tugende ku Constitution Square atta munnasigaza omulambo mukubirewo kwolwo lwenyini lwetukola endagaano kwolwo lwenyini lwagenda baba mukube n'obugalubindi buyuude kakati today you see for me I'm moving very well my interest President Museveni nze muyambye ennyo nenyamba neggwanga why nategeera ti ba Mafia baali bawambye bannakalema bannalweso baani bonna bano aba-M.i.S.O aba military intelligence nga be babaleeta era balwana nnyo mbu ebyuma byange babibawe sinza bibawo tekiriyo oyo omulenzi tali bikwatako nze mubemmanyi nti balina amagezi simumanyi bano abaana sibalabamu magezi just arrogance and being at the right place at ani ayinamu amagezi mu mutwe asobola okukola ebintu ebyo nobba sente za covid nobba ez'amasomero nobba eza radio nobba eza tv are these intelligent people nobba mubawulira nti twatwala abantu abasawo nga tubyalawo ensi zaabwe ne tubateekako covid people desert hospitals are these intelligent people
anti baagala kwata ziri eza testing singa bateekawo mandatory testing
njagala nnyo in the next four program I will speak very little abantu bano data yaabwe banze bampulidde emirundi mingi twagala data yaabwe bagifunemu akatambi kano n'akanajja ng'omukulu ayogera nga bw'agenda okukola trillion ya sente yaleeta dda miliyoni 2 eza testing kits nga abye
ye agula testing kits mpulira
yaleeta dda mobile units yaleeta dda kikuba bakugambye nti president billion 15 zebabadde baagala okubba n'aziremesa agenda kuzikola ku kutestinga baana era bagenda kuzibba kubenga era be babiina
be bagula testing kits
fajjira omulenzi ono naye ajja kusasula bw'ali badduse bw'ati abantu abatajja kuwona bantu baawala oyo omulenzi tajja kuwona nakalema tajja kuwona nakulo tebajja kuwona bantu baawala kuba bajoze nnyo ensi
kuliko nekiwalabye naye tajja kuwona
kiwalabye nekkulubye abo bo tugenda bavunaana mu shaliya y'abaganda kulubye ajja kusasula nekiwalabye kutigomya baganda naye bano bo batigomeza eggwanga
of course buli kimu bakibbako tosobola kuŋŋamba nti okudda kw'abaana gwe wasuubula dda testing kits
nakalema akwata abantu n'abatwala mu kkooti emirimu gyabwe ne gifa omuvubuka n'ateekamu abantu are you turning this country into your own farm where you can recruit managers and what you cannot abantu bemujoze bannasali baani gundi bayinginiya byandala bamukazi bonna akasajja kano bekakubye mu mawulire ku lunaku luli mujja basasula akasajja ne kakuba wa St. Lawrence akasajja ne kakuba Bujingo akasajja ne kakuba buli muganda yenna ajja y'omutwe kayina faamu zaako sijja kukwatibwa zitundibwe
naye ndowooza muzeeyi
ndibwako weebuli wali abantu balaba yes kubanga nze teri asobola kuŋŋaana kubakuba ku social media kuba bate social media the international bodies are monitoring singa olwaleero President Museveni yasindika bahati oba Kasayija mu World Bank abatanatuuka mu World Bank nga babayodde dda n'obukooti bwe baba abayodde dda Kasayija ajja kutuuka okudduka mu Kampala muno ng'addukira mu kofini okutuuka e Bunyoro Kasayija aliddukira mu kofini nabagamba nti oyo bahati ekkooti aligireka ambala lempale kabaala aliyingira e Rwanda mwanda weya kuba sente zonna gye bazibbira be bafulumya sente these people be bafulumya sente ne bagaba ensi neyavuwala kati ensi ebategere n'olwekyo bannange
njagala kutegera muzeeyi nakano kwongereko oza si be bakuba mutabani wo
aliwa
mu kkooti buli kaseera emisango gya hamu
ogusooka aguwangudde
beyambisa
kkooti banka ye Kenya emubbe omulamuzi aluulinze n'agamba banka ye Kenya terina wano yensuwalensi terinawo layisensi ekitegeeza biliyoni ze biliyoni 13 bajja kuzisasula kubanga omusango bagufuula politiko mu kifo ky'okumusasula sente ze baafuna semenyi bakalugira ndikamu kakati kalugira ebyo tabikola naye waliwo omulenzi oyo ajooga ennyo ne mukwata ng'alagira abalamuzi ate nja mukubamu nja kumukuba abaganda balyoke bamuddusa emisinde wano jjajjawe battamutte akitegeera oyo omulenzi lwaki bano baabanene tebabikola lwaki gw'obikola jjajjawo battamutte wano lwaki tokkakkanako mulenzi gwe lwaki olowooza nti okutambula n'abalangira okufuuka mulangira mbakubye oyo kendi mukuba bweni bwali kwata ettaka kubanga nze nina vidiyo bagambye president omusajja mugambe abijje ku social media omusajja mugambe Museveni yabagambye nti abange omuntu atalina kibi you are holy why do you fear Satan
of course
ate basiru how can I identify with the voice that has been on social media because I've not yet embarrassed you. First one is people to prepare to prepare you so that the people know the voices. Is now your own members who can identify you. But phase 2 waliwo wengenda okufulumiza video clip olaba abantu olaba ali mu kibuga bwe bamutwala emisinde aliyita mu ng'ombe mubbye naye muliyita mu ng'ombe. Ekyakubiri mbadde ndudde ogende wa General Sale namulabira mu nseko naye nagenda okuditekitinga nga bumwenda bwani bugenda ninga nti sijja kugendayo. Nagendayo omulundi gumu nebyaŋŋamba yannimba naye nina recording gye nafunye nga beekokkola first family era nga Sale y'omu ku be basinga okwekokkola. Omusajja oyo chairman is not honest. Chairman is a mukiga who is not honest. What he says is very embarrassing. Is a tribalist. Aga nti bano abasajja batujooze buli kamu be bakalya era yeekokkola nnyo Sale ku Bachina. Do you know second vice president is supposed to be the contact of the Chinese as appointed by the president and he gives evidence that second is not recorded. Njagala nnyo bammemba ba family bategeera abasajja bano bebaboogerako naye where I'm happy I have not heard offended Muhoozi's name featuring Yatoro. Muhoozi tabiriimu
lwaki?
I don't know.
Oba tebamumentioning
no.
Esente ezoogerwako zaalina ennyingi azijeewa.
Muhoozi afatanyayo ya taata we. Muhoozi afende Muhoozi mukubirako mu ngalo. Mu ddiiri zonna sente nnyingi ennyo. Ono kaasomba oyo alowooza nti bwewasa muwala Ssaabalabirizi ofuga eggwanga oyo omujuuzi oyo eyampita embwa. Nze teyampita embwa ndi mulabako kabangali ng'agikanga baddeko n'obugalubindi bwe ng'embuzi ennume yagambye mbu ye ekyamutwala eyo gyali kutema ku nnyanja. Yagenda banenze akaato kasula kaduduma nabo bakwetegekedde ku nnyanja tolitema kakati wetubatuusizza tewali kyetaagisa nnyo kwogera ku ttagundi y'abantu tubaddeko introduction kano kakube obabuulire nga bannyonnyola kyebajja pulezidenti yabayoola n'abatwala kakati chairman yannyonnyola ne profesa annyonnyola naye kibi ekiriwo omukulu oli bwe yali ayogera nga yeekaaliisa oyo kengenda obbakubira akanaddako bwe nakakuba ku lw'omukaaga oyo gwe bayita profesa yakola pusinga yakubwa pressure ne bamutwala mu ddwaliro Nakasero amazeyo ennaku 2. Profesa God has warned you. Profesa ojja kubwa nnyo pressure. If professor has children you people why don't you help with it? Professor ajja kusibwa nnyo. Professor will be judged differently. Kubabuga buli kintu kyonna ekyobubbi abaana bano bakiri professor tuyambe professor kino kikole professor is a giraffe goro in the national tujja kukukwa abantu bajja kukwatira wano professor ate tujja kufa naye olifiira mu humanism boda professor prevail over those boys kati yabakolera eki nga babba abakolera eki yabakolera kuba ono bamujimbe bazzukulu bamugamba nti jjajja tukuwulira bw'oyogera mbwa amirundi atuwalana kuba mwavu ze siri mwavu. If I was a poor man mwali njoze nina ssente ffe tulina obugagga obwa family tetubbye bubbi tewali lunaku lwa lumu abo balenzi nindo ono waliwo oyo
bagenda kufugako
mulinda abazungu bamutwale ne bwana ekweka musingi mikulu ne bwana alagawa oyo mulenzi
abazungu bamutwale
ate bagenda mukuba mu kalulu kasaba muba mu kalulu abazungu bamutwale tajja kumala wano nnaku 2 nga tannayolebwa kugenda baminisita bali abo kakati wenaddira nabagamba nti ebintu bigenda tebidda. Akalulu ka 8 Kuteesa yavuma Museveni muze byenyima yavuma Museveni omugenzi muka Kuteesa yavuma Museveni nga bwe yaleeta obwolo bwe yakola ki naye kaakati akaluba kazzeemu. The outcome will change this country fundamentally. Sekikubo mutuyamba awangule Kabasi yabadde avaako Kabasi yabadde avaako kalantini ezitaliiyo Kabasi yabadde avaako kalantini Kabasi yabadde avaako okuleeta eddagala effu bannaye mutuyambe Kabasi mukuba akalulu Kabasi akwatibwe Kabasi avunaanibwe mwese ekikuba akalulu Kabasi ayoolebwe agattibwe ku mulenzi ono bavunaanibwe
sulabangayo muzeeyi ayoolebwa gwagamba abayoolebwa badduka buddusi na sente yaffe
omuntu wakoma wakwata mutukubire Kabasi akalulu
mwe mukube bukubi kalulu
ejjogo ly'omulenzi abadde ayitamu okudereka omulenzi nayingira mu biifu ne bagiteekamu buto omulenzi nayingira gwoli Katonda ofuga ennyanja oli ddungu
naye muzeeyi olaba
olyani
n'abali eyo muzeeyi boyagala baddeko naye otulabye ebikola byabwe walabye nga Sodo ayina emmotoka bitaano
nazo
nga asimbiza emmotoka alinga agenda mu ggulu
Sodo akuba ekinene kigenda nanduulu kubanga mwekamba buli Sodo bwawangula kiyamba Museveni ekituyamba lwaki paalamenti bagitaddemu abantu baabwe bagigule Sodo kakati Museveni agenda okufuna a proper link Museveni will be able through Sodo to monitor parliament ba Mafia sibe bamuleese akubye ba Mafia akubye omwana Mafia
Sodo akubye Mafia Zaffe gwe tubadde tulabanga ye Mafia
akuba Mafia
Are you serious?
Museveni urugeche directly anti rebellion eri mu palace mu lubiri mwennyini bade bagala muwamba muona afuge gwanga kimuva mukola mistake afuge gwanga ani
ekitegeeza kali akalulu si kalulu bululu
oyo tewali amwagala
si kalulu bululu
nebo yesimbawo nembwe muwangula must yededi pass nawandika dakatabo kange don't waste time in sponsoring this man is hated is widely hated taina wayinza kuyita yadde sente even cosmetics help a beautiful woman
I see
no a sack of omo cannot turn chako to its original stage to become timber
of course
oyo omulenzi oyo nibo muba mumwagala muti ayina amwagala ennyo tasobola kuwangula kalulu mu Uganda tukunga bukunzi bantu nadduka tasobola nagenda kwewandiisa nomination bomutwe ne bagwasa is a hated man widely hated the only thing he does akontrolinga Amawulire mu Uganda he is scandalous widely hated and of average intelligence simugezi average intelligence Ziyamba manya
magezi ga bulijjo talina mu kyeyongeramu
and beralo bwe bali mu yolero bweno be aliwulira
nemze ife tutidde
bwe kiri abika nakalema oyo simanyi gundi asiba abantu kuwerere n'abatwala luddawo bwe kiri abika bwe kiri oliwulira
mze ife tutidde engeri y'abali bali
akatambi mukabulirize bulungi mubawulire bwe beewaana bava wa president ababulidde bagenda babuli enziba gye bagenda okubbamu kali akananyini buyinza ng'atubulya bwagenda okubba trillioni za sente ng'azijja mu S.O.Ps eza Ministry of Education enkya kajja kubeerawo twagala abeeko kyakola kyaka nti agenda kuntu nedde twagala abeeko kyakola fe Abaganda tetutta
engeri gy'ofulumiza ennyonda eyo like zetandika okweraliikira talina kyalina
timba nga tetumuwadde embuzi timba mugirayo tray y'amagi
asooka n'amira embuzi
nemufuna wemuttira ateyo omuntu ogo
afa kuse
lwalitegeera nti ensi yamutamu
mpulira
omulenzi oyo ateyo omuntu ogo nekyamaani waabwe namuweereza message that man who wants to kill me let him walk his talk let us come publicly and sign an agreement whoever kills the other in one day keeps the corpse and the family does not take the matter to court mukubire laddu mu lunaku lumu mukubire laddu bera dunga enkuba tennaba na kutonye bire yebake ku ttaka
endagaano eyo tekkirizibwa endagaano yammwe eya security tegikkiriza
pulezidenti bamugambye mbu omusajja atutta ku social media olwo intelligence organizations singa gavumenti esindika kasayija oba bahati e Washington World Bank babakwatanga sebagala
saying we really have to find the means of stopping this man, because now everything is becoming very berserk. We hardly can hold any secret. How come we get tapped into all the time, every meeting that we conduct? Then how many phone calls do we make that are never recorded? That thing, I really ponder over that almost every time. Now, let me tell you, Honorable, certainly we know we have a very great challenge. And that challenge mainly is fostered by Tamale Mirundi. But as our colleague Odwek said, the primary challenge could be His Excellency, because he can make the final decision which cannot be debated, which cannot be argued about, neither can it be disputed. But much as it is a primary challenge, the most dangerous challenge is the fact that Tamale Mirundi utters these secrets into the public domain. The public ear is the most dangerous. His Excellency is not only a president, he's an authority, but he's an individual. He's a parent, he's a grandparent. He can listen. But how many people do you need to convince? For example, we are looking at such a situation in which we are, that the pandemic is spreading faster than ever expected. And obviously we know the numbers out there in the population infected can more than triple the numbers registered of around 6,000 and something. You may find the actual number is around around 18,000. The actual number. If you have to go very scientific and with high precision, we do tests possibly across the country. You may find there are more than 18,000 cases. Now, there is some pressure which is going to be mounting. The moment we keep on speaking about the corruption during the fighting of the pandemic at the earlier stages, when the schools, everything was under lockdown, because there was a time we had only one case, we went into a lockdown to make sure that they don't spread into communities, but at the end of the day, the battle was lost, and now we have it in the community. Now, that implies a lot. The public is about to uprise to say that you and your corruption brought for us COVID-19. Much as you enforced all means, you tortured us. Some of the LDUs killed us. Expecting mothers died along the road as they walked to the hospitals, which were distant. But because everything was under lockdown, there was no public transport, there was no private transport, and even the phone calls to the emergency services were never answered. And even when they were answered, the ambulances were not there to come and collect these victims. They will tell you it has gone this far. And for those which were available, you needed some money to fuel them. Now, if people went through all that, and now we at Tamale Mirundi is busy inciting the public against individuals, some of whom are members of the first family. Honorable, I'm seeing this as something that needs to be answered very fast, because the people won't forgive anyone. Even when the president forgives, even when the courts forgive, theirs is a shortcut court. It is a mass court. It is a mob course. It is a mob court. So when we try to look at all these things, it is a matter of time these things might materialize if not maximum care is taken. So my question normally is, why would His Excellency allow this man to keep reporting to the people? Just like that. It is one of the things I'm wondering so much about. I keep pondering about it, and I really don't know if there can ever come a time when we can overcome such a situation. Really, I must understand, I really don't understand that same thing. But normally, there are particular things we should also look at. We should not zero only on the possibilities of the people doing that. But look at the situation, even before talking about that. Don't you think these steps are for nothing? This same information leaks, and agencies like CIA, the International Monetary Fund, financial intelligence teams, they are also looking out for Africans, for African politicians who ferry money from their countries out of corruption. And they create offshore accounts or they invest abroad. Now, you find that before even we look at the local population, which is likely to charge and destroy everything we own around here, but you may also be limited from leaving your country. All your wealth can be frozen within a very short time, and you end up having totally nothing. So these are the things we have to be considering before Tamale goes haywire. We need to know this money acts in a manner. There is a common statement he normally talks about. Somebody was trying to interpret it, that to Jackson Wagana, Kunsi, in the grave, Namuguru. So when you try to cross-examine that, it is like this man can only forgive us when we leave him on earth and we get to the grave. That is the only time he can ever leave us. So when you try to cross-examine all these things, you find it is a great challenge. And we cannot overcome it until His Excellency decides so. But he normally tells us the day, actually, this is how we say, the day you shall ever give up, that theft, that wrong hand that taps into the chibaya and you steal from the baby. It's the day that man will leave you. Now, if His Excellency can come to that this man should never forgive us until we stop whatever we are doing, until we shorten our hands from touching a baby coat, really, it is a very funny thing. It is really a very, very, very absurd thing that there's totally no logic. Totally no logic. Something needs to be done, really. Something needs to be done. And we need the support of His Excellency, because without it, we cannot do much. You see, much as you may talk about all that we need His Excellency's intervention, actually his intervention is very negative, because his intervention is to simply support. And he supports him. He supports him really. The only thing that can really just cool down the temperature from those extreme high Fahrenheit is when this guy gets a big amount of money, a very large sum. Then he resigns to some private business. He gets those business engagements. He gets busy a little bit. What I know is that whenever he appears on the radio, he will simply be praising His Excellency rather than wasting a lot of time, playing our tapes, doing this and that. Because before, I have it in mind, he would just be referring that you really I defeated the Mafia who are doing this without to get into the details. But look at the challenges that we have really. These challenges are so wide. So wide. And he's the central catalyst to all these challenges. I'm telling you, he's a central catalyst. We also have to unite and do something about it, because without that, we are likely to be losers. And it is going to be a very worst scenario if we succumbed to the pressure and we totally lost. We are only lucky that in this very short time, His Excellency is supposed to respond. Is just building up a campaign message, a campaign package for Ugandans. But there is life after campaigns. That is where I'm worried most. He's going to outvet us, because he exactly knows what happens where, who's behind it, and how. So those are the major problems that we are having. And I don't know exactly how we are going to overcome this kind of situation until Tamale Mirundi is cooled down. But how are you going to cool down this man who never listens to anyone, who never respects anybody unless he's respected first, who never returns to the normal emotions every time, even if you find him laughing and you mention certain names, the man fumes, he gets hostile, like a wounded venomous snake. So really, these are the things we're trying to look at, and I don't know how exactly we're going to overcome such a situation until Tamale Mirundi is disambiguated from this kind of program. But how? He's a brand himself. When he went on YouTube and on these social media channels, the man became even far worse. That now his content was directly being consumed by the West. And this is where we hope to run to. It was highly consumed by the East, where we really want to run to. So where is our future security? Where's our future security for our children, for our grandchildren? That is where the whole matter is, and it has to be addressed eminently. Because if we don't do that, the trouble is coming. A lot of trouble is brewing. So many problems are going to swap us and swallow us into a crowd of anger. So really, Chairman, I want you to always be very, very vigilant, very visionary. Together with the professor, try to make sure that things work out diligently, very well, until the very final time. Until the very final time when we defeat each and everything, when we are totally cleared. Because we are also survivors. So many people look at a lot of wealth, a lot of real estate being set up. They really don't know that the cost of sustaining such things, the taxes that are being paid, and all other issues. Because everybody expects to be very rich. So we are always addressing people's problems. And that is where the problem comes from. That is where our limits always get apparent. But now, when somebody says that you stop, they never know. So they will not be working. His Excellency would have retired. Jeff Bezos would not be working. Bill Gates will not be working. Zuckerberg will not be working. But everybody works because every time you get more wealth, more challenges face you, more people run to you for survival. Each and everything becomes tougher. Even your lifestyle alone becomes very tough. So those are the things we're looking at. But people just don't understand. People like Tamale will keep hammering our heads. But all for nothing. There is hardly anything we can return. Imagine if you store like 10 billion. Look at what is happening in Makerere. If somebody squandered like 10 billion, what is the cost of returning that money? What does it take? 10 billion, how long does it take to recover? Almost 15 years, even if you invested it in an arcade. It would take you 15 years to recover the money. Now, if somebody requires that money in a very short run, because even if you went to prison and they sentenced you for 7 years, you cannot return the 10 billion from whatever you invested in that money. Because normally you have to invest in real estate or things that return money in a way that is passive to you. You keep on your job, you keep doing the normal issues, the normal tasks that are known of you. Then the other one generates that passive income. But it will take you like 15 years to recover that money. Now, if a committee is set to start auditing you, why wouldn't one ban the ivory tower to consider the 13.6 billion that was stolen? Why wouldn't somebody do that? Why wouldn't people ban their offices? Because now people are discovering that this is the easiest way to overcome a corruption scandal. Simply torch the facility. The government will pay. The public will pay. But you have survived the court. Because everything you say, the records vanished. There's hardly anything to present to court. The DPP cannot handle any files because they're now lost. It is now an allegation. I can tell you everything was done properly. Everything, but we have lost each and everything. If you ask for a backup, everything vanished. I don't have a backup. The backup was also within that office. People are touching their homes. Will touch their homes. So that even my laptop did this and that. Everything in that rain. That is evidence clear. Where are you going to start from? Tell me that where is the 13.6 billion way? Where did it go? So it is now a finished job. Now we need about 15 billion to recover the facility. And sometimes which is not less than 3 years. So normally that is how life is. The moment you press the nose, you force it to bleed. So really, Tamale has forced each and everyone to the wall. He has left no exit except into the grave. And now if he's inciting the people to come and rain on us. So our prayer is always to pray cool. But until when? Until when shall we be praying cool? Now that is a common question we normally ask. No, even before you go into the details of that, how are we going to manage this situation? Now the only thing is that actually if he gets the money, that is one point. If he gets the money, he gets a bit busy, he will loosen up. That is one point. Now what if it takes longer? What if it takes longer for him to get the money? And the damage has already been caused. I was viewing on the internet both Facebook videos, YouTube videos. This man has a following of hundreds of thousands of people who keep watching his videos and across the world. What does this mean? And about 400 and something shares. You know, just from those others keep sharing the videos. Now, the major problem is that we need to find a groundbreaking solution to this man, otherwise we're going to be finished completely. No, let me tell you, we thought about all that already, and you have been a part of this. Now, this is a very tricky guy. Now you find if we sat here and we started the planning, how to manage him, you never know how you could be recording, you could be having this information. Then before you implement step number 1, the man is talking about it all over the radio. And above all, we also discovered he's working under the command of His Excellency. He cannot defy His Excellency because he wants to save you. And when he normally talks, he tells us, I know what you want to do, but I'm not going to leave you until you abandon thieving from government. Now, that is his common talk. But how does that bring out any meaning? Me, I don't see any meaning in that. You tell me that, what? I stop thieving. What do you mean by thieving? Man shall eateth where he worketh. Man eats where he works. Now, if I eat from where I'm working, doesn't he eat from where he works? Don't people pay him for his PR? For fighting the battles? So he eats where he works. What wrong does it bring out if I eat where I work? It is as simple as that. So he should also think of other ways. He can also leave us alone. To whom does he serve? No, of course it is His Excellency. The Lord tell you that when he went there, he found a heap of CDs. And the men had been transferred to his laptop. And he kept his earpieces listening to many of the audios. And we asked him several questions. He even prayed some that you see how you were organizing to do this and that. You just look at what has been happening in education. He finally said, Tamale Mirundi guided me that I needed to get an independent committee to work independently and come up with a possible plan, which I later shared with my wife. Then my wife shared with her administration, and they finally managed to come up with a program which could help. Now, if candidates get to school earlier, then the other people start around January. When the candidates sit and go, there will be another lot of candidates. So the other one will automatically move on to the next class. So it is a bit confusing, but at least it is fair if you don't allow anyone to step back. When the term resumes, they go together. It is only these candidates who will sit a bit earlier to leave space for this other continuing one in the same candidate classes. So there's going to be 2 candidate classes, one finishing and going, then the others taking on the process. Now this one finishing, the exams would be marked very fast, then they also start the time a bit late, but they will be absorbed within, without creating 2 classes in 1 year. So that is what His Excellency came up with. And actually it is flowing. Now the only prayer is that let there be not COVID-19 cases overrunning in the school, because that will be another case that will require a new arrangement and a new dispensation. So we are only trying to look at that, but the whole thing is let us just wait and see how it all goes. Now, there is a simple challenge here I wanted us to talk about. You see, with these primaries, of course, I went through my constituency, but it was a very tough moment. Extremely very tough. But we're going to need a lot of money. A lot of money. And when I look at all these projects which are supposed to generate money, Tamale just has broke each and everything. He exposes each and everything. His Excellency these days is very alert. For the times I've met him, and the times my peers and colleagues have met him, he's very strict. He's critically mentioning the 4 projects that are going to have a lot of money very, very soon. And he said, I'm watching out for anyone who's going to be attempted to tap into these projects to pick out money. It's going to face it very rough. But we need a lot of money, really. And I know Uncle Sam is a bit disappointed because he's opting out, but again, there's a lot of resistance. His Excellency refused him from running as the vice chairperson for Buganda sub-region. And you see, and again, the same His Excellency is shielding the brother against his daughter, and strictly supporting the brother, and is ready to go personally and support and campaign for his brother. It is something really that disappointed this man. So now he's looking out for the better solution. He said, okay, let me be in this cabinet and see how it all goes in the next 4 to 5 months. Then we shall see what to do. Now the most important thing here is, how are we going to manage these campaigns when the division is actually growing further, and that alone in Zimbabwe can spread across the country, and we have a very divided NRM, a radically divided NRM. One party is left, another one is right. And there is a wide gap because each will be at the extreme. Don't you think the opposition can take advantage of the division in between, the gap between the extreme left and the extreme right? Then they utilize that vacuum in between. Actually, it is very possible. And that is what the professor was discussing with His Excellency recently. And I think His Excellency listened to him very well and said, okay, then we also have to handle the Zimbabwe issues uniquely, and then we should have to minimize media activity there, because it is media that spreads the news, spreads the information. Sometimes it spreads misinformation, which resultantly divides, creates division in other areas and regions. So it is all about media control that will help to find a solution to that. So mainly, that is what I was looking at. I think even Professor there is arriving. Yes, Professor, how are you? No, I'm very fine. How are you? We're just well. So how was your night? No, the night was okay. Yes, Chairman. How is the going? Just very fine. How is the going right there? We are just trying, the normal challenges we normally go through. Yeah, but we can normally manage. But Professor, I normally thank you for the great work you do. Actually, these are very, 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 very great professional exhibits of work you normally render to the fellowship, to the country, and to His Excellency. So really thank you very much. I normally see the great challenges that you normally bring to a solution, and it really helps. Professor, it really helps. No, thank you for appreciating. This is what we are made to do. We are educated specifically for this kind of management of work. And I have to tell you, things are never easy. These are several challenges that we normally face. When you look at my colleague here, we meet every day, sometimes twice in a day. He's very good at doing the mobilization. And actually, I really want him to be the MP here in Kampala, because he's really a very good mobilizer and very professional at doing work. Thank you, Professor, for that. And another thing I really wanted to talk about, to comment about him, is there is a way he manages these powerful people. There is a way he tells them that things are supposed to be done like this, not under your expectations. They argue him out, but he challenges them best, and they succumb. And they give up. Actually, Professor, that is what we call professional courtesy. He really does it very well. If he wasn't also going to stand, I would take him to my constituency to do some campaigning. But anyhow, the main challenge we have is Tamale, who normally moves around, spreading information about us, spreading information about our activities, reporting this to His Excellency. And at the end of the day, we end up in a very hot soup. At all times, we're in hot soup. That is normal. Now we are used to that. We are very used to that. What we can never get used to is the fact that when the public gets this information, there forms a crowd of anger against us. And at one moment, when the wind currents takes it to the right direction, that anger will rain. And it will rain on us. That one I have to promise you. So whatever we do, we have to control the factors, never to cause a storm that can lead to that raining of anger on us. And what does this require? To see how we protect the person of His Excellency, the way we protect the regime of His Excellency, the way we have to repaint the image of NRM. That is the best way to do. And by so doing, to avoid the formation of such a current is the way we should manage the fellowship. I realized it is very necessary to establish measures of failing any other project from ever starting. Much as inside here we have divisions and intrigue, we should never allow outsiders. We should never allow any powerful person to cause sorrow and, brand us any ministry, any parastatal, any department, any institution of government as a direct assault on the taxpayers' money would cause a rushback that can affect the overthrow of the regime by the people, of the civilians. The military has been provoked enough. The intelligence has been underfunded for quite a long time. The police, they are suffering a lot. And they are forced to take bribes for each and any activity. And they are under-facilitated. Even those who have been trained abroad to firefight, you see there was a firefighting equipment, very old, very outdated. Everything disorients. Everything disorients, and their morale is very low. So we should not expect an army, we should not expect a police that can fight a massive Uganda, taking it to the streets with a goal of overthrow of government. We should never expect such a thing. We don't have such a police that can say we are fighting to protect ourselves. They have nothing to protect about this regime. I'm telling you the truth. I know some of you may never like it. No, Professor, go ahead. What I'm saying, you may never like to hear me. So, no, Professor, go on. That is very important information. So, in that aspect, in that aspect, I want to tell you this. We don't have an army which says that we fear change of guards because the current guards are giving us everything we ever need in life. No, they can easily transfer hope to another person in coming. You realize that? I do, sir. I really do realize it is very true. Equally the same, I do realize it is very true. We don't have such an army that says we are protecting ourselves. It is just a few high-ranking officers who say, I'm protecting my office and I should therefore use my subordinates to protect my position. So it is all about each one protecting his position selfishly. Thank you very much for that. So everybody is protecting self-interest for that reason. So imagine a moment when all cities and towns people tend to say we are tired. How many of the soldiers, how many of the police can face off with the people amongst whom are their relatives who have been suffering for too long? How many soldiers go back home and their children are very proud of them that they're in the military? How many of them are very proud that daddy, thank you, you are in the police? How many of them say, oh, we are proud that you are in intelligence, thank you? Very few, if they are there. And they are the top high-ranking officers. They're the ones in charge of logistics and supplies. They're the ones in terms of finance and the contracts. But the rest, Mwendo ya pole, really there's almost nothing. So that is what we are talking about, is that we should avoid the errors, like how Tamale normally says, that if there once comes a mistake and somebody is shot by accident, take for instance this idiot Papa roaming around the Kamosha and Bobby Wine is there, and that random shooting, the bullet gets to him and he dies or he gets fatally injured. How long does it take for that crowd to form a storm and that anger rains on us uncontrollably? So such errors should be avoided, and His Excellency should come out to stop it and punish every police officer, every commander who goes along with that silly idiot. And the idiot should also be put behind the bars because it's very useless, very useless. He's just a catalyst to a storm, a dangerous storm that can lead to the downfall and the total destruction and annihilation of this regime. So we have to be very careful about that. Now back to the main point.
Thank you, Professor, for that really. I also wanted to say that actually when you talk to His Excellency, let him know that we don't need such outlaws claiming to support the NRM to commit crime. We saw it with the Chitata, so much as Chitata was released to service something similar to that again, but something again has to be done to overcome that as well. So, we get to the point, sir, because we have been here waiting for you. And I believe you have a lot to talk about. You can proceed, Professor.
Now what I wanted to talk about, mainly I'm trying to dig more information regarding the Busoga team. That is how they call it, the Busoga team. Others call it the Busoga squad, which was behind that head that was delivered at Parliament.
Anyway, after
But somebody has restricted the detectives from spilling anything to the media. And somebody is behind cooking up a totally different story to hide the actual mission and agenda. To portray this young man as a total brutal murderer. Then there is also a witch doctor who was friends with this man, who came into the picture just because of the proximity from that place for questioning and the possible framing. Something I really don't like. I don't want to frame anybody, because everybody can be a victim of framing. You can be framed and you end up dying or serving a wrong sentence, having committed no crime. So that really needs some intervention where possible. But they are really trying to hide each and everything. They are driving a fresh story. And they are authoring a different scenario. They are creating a new mission and intention. So everything is pouring it down from reality and from the truth. But anyhow, we shall keep getting information about that. We shall really get the information. So we'll put that aside. We have to go and meet His Excellency. Chairman, we have been summoned. You need to know this. We have to go and meet His Excellency.
So you may have been. It is over what? It is over what mainly?
No, it shouldn't worry you. I think there is something about the tapes. There is some information Mzee wants to verify. And that information it touches rare. That information touches COVID-19. So just needs a clarification. It is not all about questioning, because I had been questioned earlier about that. And we are not alone. We are 7 people who are supposed to go. And His Excellency is ready to talk to us. Yes, it is really going to happen. So we are going immediately today. So we'll be there by 11. So we can organize. He needs us for only 15 minutes. That is what he said. So we are going to have a way forward. That shouldn't worry you.
No, I will go. After all, these are normal discussions. These are just ideas that we've been talking about. So we shall always make it. No matter, I don't want you to get frightened. When he calls you, actually, you go with that confidence. Since there is already information that you can really defend yourself about. You can lean on to defend yourself. So you shouldn't worry about anything. I've been summoned there like 4 times. 3 over certain recordings. One was a phone call. I was warned, and I think things changed. But the main cause was the other party, because it was trying to verify the crime. So you can simply give evidence about something. So that is the whole thing. Just giving evidence about something. No, that is okay. Do not worry about me. I'm not scared at all. And I know we normally can make things happen. You have always been making things happen, so this is not any different. We can always keep moving, and we have very good results.
Now another thing I wanted us to talk about is, it is already 9. Sorry I've been very late, but let us try to go through a number of things. So first and foremost, I wanted to tell you that the Finance Ministry has been summoned also by His Excellency, simply to reaffirm to them that they should speed up their own process such that that money can be here and the work can resume can start by 2nd October next month. So the committee they wanted to set up was commissioned, but His Excellency said that commission should not report to finance, but should report to State House. One should be the copy should always be sent to the State House and Corruption Unit. Then another one to the Audit Department of State House to overlook the projects. But there should be members of finance whose work should be to document the amounts released. They get copies and create files to copy what has been delivered to REA and how much has been spent on contracts, maintenance, allowances, and all that. So there's going to be a tracking on that. And that simply means, whether we want it or not, Engineer Charles Rutuama should be involved in this whole planning if we are going to do anything very important. If you really understand that.
But yesterday we had proposed a number of steps to take to working across with the finance than Mr. Rutuama Charles. Then also Andrew to prepare to launch those articles that can provide the PR and all that. Wouldn't that be, is it now invalid according to what you're saying?
It's not invalid at all. It is just all this process can go on. But at the same time, we shouldn't rub shoulders with Engineer Rutuama. The reason being, Rutuama is a whistleblower. And for that reason, he was given that responsibility. His rate has not been handled, but I told you yesterday, the woman is called Patricia, who has been handling cross information with the Rutuama. Excuse me, everything is moving on in the right direction. And trust me, we are having our grip on that. But there should be a way for us to talk. Because if we realize that something fishy is going on in finance, we will report to His Excellency. So it should be teamwork. No matter what happens, at least the finance ministry is going to intervene actually, and talk to Rutuama ahead of releasing the money. Motibwa is going to be exited anytime soon because His Excellency never appreciated her and was very junior looking at these people, and they comprise so well with the old system. And Rutuama has at least saved billions of shillings as per His Excellency. There are several reports Rutuama has been writing of recent times, and they are all in the hands and attention of His Excellency. So he prefers to use such a person than anyone else. So he's going to get that appointment done very soon, very, very soon.
So where does that leave us? Because, like you know very well, we need a lot of money. We cannot face off these elections without enough money, and I don't think NRM has all the money to provide to us when His Excellency needs almost the trillions of money to secure his position as president. So that is where my major question is. And also, if I may ask, Professor, when you also look at these projects, first of all, look at what is happening in the COVID-19 National Task Force. His Excellency wrote to them a very tough letter. One, complaining about the incompetence in handling money. Two, talking about internal corruption between the patients, the people in quarantine, and all that. Then part three, the procurement process is very unclear. So he was telling them that he needs to have this tabled and made visible on the documents. So there's a lot of struggle there, and he's asking, why should
where did it go wrong? They cannot even trace the exact point when it started going wrong, when people were in lockdown. Then out of the lockdown, it is because the cases were already spiking, and we don't have the funds to do massive testing as required. We don't have beds for the patients. We don't have mobile clinics, and all this money was provided. We needed mobile clinics for these people. We even don't have transport means. Recently, the Parliament bus, Commonwealth bus, burned with patients on board. They had to be dispersed very fast, to be evacuated very fast, and the bus is now total scrap. It is in total ashes. So there's several things that are really happening in the country. Now, the only thing I'm asking about this that I really need to know is how are you going to prevent this from bringing up a direct impact of the politics and the authenticity and the capability and the ineptness of His Excellency? That is what I'm looking at, because these are the major things you as a psychologist should be looking at with His Excellency. First of all, leave around the money. Yes, we need the money. Very true, we need the money, but we also need the content to tell the people. It is really very important. Oh, thank you very much. You have a very clear point, a very clean point. It is very clean, really. Now, let me answer Chairman first. We are talking about money. His Excellency needs money. Candidates need money. Both of you are candidates. You need money, and you're really going to get the money. But what I was talking about, the rare money, is that we have to be very careful, because His Excellency has set up measures to monitor the money very well, from its source to the end user, the final end user. Now, he will be microscopically looking at the managers of these projects. So my point is that the Rutuama must be involved if you're going to share the money, such that he knows where to manipulate, where to inflate, and where to deflate. That is my point. I don't want to repeat it.
No, I've understood you, Professor.
Then secondly, the impact of our system, I told you. Many people, when this money came, they underrated the role the fellowship could do. The fellowship could not allow such rampage theft, and we have never allowed it. The fellowship never allows someone to scoop even 10% from the project. The fellowship has always been robbing for contracts and all that to get money. The fellowship does not grab money. Now, when the opportunity came, they were like, why do we need the fellowship when the money is obviously here and it is flowing in very fast? The longer we shall take a planning, the rest we shall get, because people would have taken it already. So people went in individually. Look at how the COVID-19 relief food was stolen. How many donations were taken? Where are the 200 vehicles that were provided by donors, internal donors? How much money was given in donations? A lot of equipment were handed in. Everything disappeared, from the food to the utilities, to the usables, to the consumables, to the utensils. Everything disappeared. Above all, money. People are taking chunks of money. Yeah. The donations from Jack Ma, they ended up in stores and they resold it to government. Government had to buy and pay for all that. Okay. Why? Because the fellowship was never involved. We are never involved. Now they cannot account for anything. They are running to us. That, please, how do we help on this? His Excellency wants everything, and the M.i.S.O is still auditing each and every activity. It's going to tell His Excellency how much was stolen. But people have been building apartments. These apartments take over 18 years to recover your money. Where are the people going to get this money, if not jail? Okay? Now, the fellowship has always doing things professionally. We're cleaning the scene. We do total clean up. And we do something minimal, not to hurt the government, not to hurt the project. But in the videos that go rogue, they want to destroy each and everything. Now we have an influx of foreigners, the Chinese who come, they end up in Kapeka, they do as they wish without consulting the fellowship. At the end of the day, people will riot against the Chinese, who mine sand, who plant rice, who do stone quarrying, and all of that. But where does the impact go? It comes back to the NRM government being corrupt. For the times the fellowship has been managing such activities, we never had the scandals. And the day Tamale will discover what we are, then he will thank us one day. Because he fights thinking that our role is to steal. How much do you think it would have gone deep if we are not there? And people belittled, used, and dumped. Currently, there would be no government because everybody would have gone. But we find the means of robbing for money, see how to use it, and see how to manage the repercussions. It is not the case with what happened during the COVID-19. It wasn't the case with the CHOGAM 2007. So, for me, my request is a simple one. Let the fellowship launch an army that should fight anybody who operates outside the tenets of the fellowship. Because our tenets spell it very well. We are looking for money, but not blood money. We are commissioned agents who take the right portion that don't affect the health of the project, because we are not parasites. Our role is not to feed and hurt. So we mitigate. But normally some people choose to go and just steal and think they run away. Poverty just. Where can $1 million take you? Where can it hide you? And how long does it take to spend it when you are on the run? And before you know it, you have 100,000, and all you think is how to get back home with nothing completely. So these are the things I've always been looking at, trying to find the solutions for. So we have to go and prepare to meet His Excellency. We have to go and meet other colleagues. There is a very important issue His Excellency wants to find out. And we are within the right time to handle that properly, very properly. So we should start moving immediately. At least this kind of talk guides us a lot. It really guides us a lot. I appreciate so much this kind of talk. And if I really had a lot of time, I would always come around and we have a share of this, because it is really very important. We need to be sharing. We need to be sharing. At least you have updated me. I know how it all moves right now.
Equally, we normally do that, and it is really very helpful. Because at the end of the day, I cannot spend like 2 hours without receiving a call from our seniors or juniors. They also need to know what's going on. When the troubles fall in, they need to know how to go out of them, and who's behind it, and how should we manipulate the situation and get the positive results. So these kind of meetings really help us. And when we are assisted to have full information, we can easily solve problems. Otherwise, we would have been in trouble. Many people would have been in jail. But at least I thank you, Professor, for your tireless contributions, your consistency in finding information and managing your profession. I really appreciate so much. So much. I equally appreciate. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. At least this 1 hour of talk, of dialogue is really very important. After 24 hours, if we dedicate this continuously, we are growing each other, we are finding more knowledge, we are discovering weaknesses, we are fixing gaps, we are sewing tears and wears. So thank you really very much, Professor. Thank you for appreciating. I also appreciate the courage and the time you really sacrifice every day, especially Chairman. I'm really very delighted. At least normally crossing to your home and we have this kind of talk is very important before I go for my work. I have reports to submit, then we need to meet with His Excellency. So there's some particular information he wants us to discuss with him. It was extracted from the so-called Tamale tapes. And we need to aid him to find out something better. It might be on the Busoga affairs, it might be in the COVID-19, whatever the case may be. He may be going to squeeze information about our political arrangements and all that. I'm not very sure what exactly it is, but the onus is on us to respond to whatever is asked. So we just need to prepare ourselves, remain very confident, very focused. We have nothing wrong we have done, so you shouldn't worry about that. Then we have no particular solution to Tamale Mirundi. All we have to do is to just give it time. Trust me, he's going to get a lot of money according to the arrangement from His Excellency. That will heal the pain and the scars will disappear. By the end of the campaign, we shall have a new arrangement, a new dispensation, and I believe he won't be that harsh. He's a very sour man, very, very sour. But during that time, I believe something will be happening. No, I believe in you, Professor, and I know things must have to change, no matter what happens. Things have to change. So my prayer is a simple one. Let's get moving. Then we shall have a way forward very soon. I believe in success. I never believe in that we shall go on making losses here and there. We are powerful enough to resist any kind of troubles because we have really faced so much already. All we now need is to have our central focus on our objectives and the goals. We shall have to make it.
No, as you say.